What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson, and we are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of. We've got an awesome episode today. We're talking about takeaways from the $1 Million Agent Summit, the event where we spoke at in Australia just a couple short weeks ago. We have got the mastermind, evil marketing genius that puts that event on, Glenn Twiddle, with us today. So we're talking about the differences between Australian high-producing multi-millionaire agents versus some of the multi-mega producers here in the States, and some of the commonalities between them, the things that we really admired and the things that we took away from that event. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get into today. But now, my speaking compatriot, my partner in all things crime real estate related, Greg McDaniel, Junior Grandmaster himself. What's up today?
Oh, I love that. I'm just waiting for you to drop, just not add the real estate part about the whole crime-related thing, and someone over at Facebook, their ears just go boom, and all of a sudden they just shut us down. They're like, oh, we got criminals on the loose. Scramble all cars. We
got a 1099. That's right. Well, we do look like hardened criminals, Greg.
Yes. The street life has been hard on our skin, yes.
That's right.
My pedicure looks good, I think, though. Yeah. Or manicure, or whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. There's some cure going on with fingernails.
Okay.
But you know what? I was talking with Gail with Send Out Cards, a few minutes ago, and we're going to build it into our whole thing with EXP to help people kind of get the results that she's seeing with other real estate agents, the stuff that I'm seeing with clients, doing Send Out Cards and stuff. Because I got a call from actually one of our past guests, Matt, James Colburn. I sent him a card thanking him for being on the show. He hits me up and goes, "Dude, I never get mail. This was awesome." And so it's just awesome. And dude, the bald master is here. And he is just one of those guys, if you don't know Glenn, the rock you're under, it must be epically large, because this guy, he's going to drop knowledge bombs on you that are going to hurt. They're going to be so good. You're going to walk away thanking him for this knowledge drop. And so guys, the great Glenn, the great Twiddle, the man, the myth, the legend of everything down under, which I figured out how to say that. I got a tip.
Well, that rock, that it's not them hiding under a rock, it's me, and it's a big rock called the Earth, because we're kind of on the other side of the Earth right now. That big rock, that third rock, in fact.
Oh my God,
that's awesome. That is true. All right. So, Glenn, you were kind enough to invite us down to speak at the $1 Million Agent Summit, which was a blast. Some of you may have seen our Facebook Live, which we actually did from the stage on the second morning of the event, and we got Naomi. We dragged Naomi in to come speak on that particular Facebook Live. We didn't get a chance to bring some of the speakers that we're going to have on the show here in the next couple months onto that particular broadcast. So we wanted to share some of the things that we took away. But I wanted to start, Glenn, with just to piggyback off of what Greg was saying with the cards. So you were using cards for a long time, and then you created some sort of custom, super mega awesome super solution. So Glenn, tell us a little bit about that.
Not so much super solution. It's just that I'm always on the lookout for doing things well, executing imperfectly. There's the old saying, if something's doing well, it's worth doing. If something's worth doing, it's worth doing. And then most people would say, yeah. I would say, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing crap at first, right? Because no one starts doing anything well, right? So if something's worth doing, it's worth doing badly to start and then improving. Well,
man, that's really
the Send Out Cards thing, I was introduced to it. And I thought, wow, that's really good. And so what I did, and certainly, that big, I don't know if you could see it up there, but that up there, you sent me a big giant Send Out card, which was an innovation, because I used Send Out cards from 2010, which was when it first started, and they didn't have those big giant oversized cards, which are very impact making, very cool. You can get to, in fact, let me just grab it.
He didn't show my card.
Yeah, so this is the. So I sent him the 8.5 by 11. It's huge. It's the same one that It's the same size of the one that I made myself with my dream house on it.
It's a huge card.
Yeah. So you put whatever custom photo you want. So Matt, of course, sent this custom. Then on the inside, he Googled, he grabbed, because we're friends on Facebook, so he grabbed a couple of cool things that he knew I'd like, me and Arnold, and I'm assuming you guys can see that, because I have lost the thumbnail of me here. But anyway, me and Arnold and some cool stuff, right? Some photos of me. Then in a handwriting-ish font, thanks to the incredible, opportunity Greg and I had a blast, so very cool, right? And it was personalized. I knew it's Matt, but with that one, you can kind of tell it's a handwriting font. Even when, what Send Out Cards allows you to do very coolly, it allows you to simulate your handwriting, one letter at a time, and then upload your own handwriting as a font. Very cool little tweak. That one there is Matt's handwriting.
Yeah, that one's a stock one.
Sorry, the standard handwriting font.
Yep.
That's not Matt's. So when you do your own one, it's a little better, but you can still tell. It doesn't take a terribly trained eye to know that it's still automated, And
right.
so I did that for years, because what I love about it is it can be automated, it can be sequential, meaning when you sell, what we used to use it for was when we would sell a home to a buyer, the buyer would move in. We'd give them some semblance of a gift then and there and drop it round, and we'd have them really connected to us. But then a Send Out Cards sequence would start, and with gifts, because sometimes you don't just send a card. Send Out Cards can send some little brownies, can send some little gifts, can send a little book, or whatever with the card. Fully done, fully automated. They print the card, they mail the card, they put it in there with a live Australia Post stamp down here. So I'm assuming it's a US Postal Service stamp. So they look good. But it's still, once you send, so they were good. So every month or every 6 weeks or whatever, it would send them another gift, card, notification. And the first one might be saying, hey, it was great to see you a couple of months ago. Hey, now that you've moved in, have you noticed, is there anything about the house that you might need, some tweaks done? Do you need our handyman service? Because we've got a handyman that services our property management department, and they'll do it for you at mates rates, or maybe mates rates.
That's only something that makes sense in Australia. I love it.
Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher, calls it the homie discount. He says that Glenn's still on the homie discount. So that sort of thing goes out every month, and then so do you want some repairs? Hey, it's been 6 months. How is it? Hey, it's been a year now. On the anniversary of the sale, it's been a year now. Did you want a quick update on the value of the home? Did you want an appraisal? That may have kind of changed. So all that happens without you lifting a finger. Right? So I love that about the service. You set it up once, you put them and attach them to that sequence, and then the sequence happens like with monthly or 6 weekly or whatever contact, and you do nothing. Right? I love that about that. Now, of course, if you want a personalized one like this, where you actually upload photos from an event a week ago and say, hey, that event was fun, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not automated, but, so I love that. But the next step for me that Matt was alluding to, which is just one step further, and it's certainly not necessary, but I wanted to, the phenomena I noticed, and this is maybe a principle we might talk about, the phenomena I noticed is every time anyone has a birthday, me, you, whatever, or our clients, you try and wish your client a happy birthday on Facebook and try and cut through that noise. Never. There are like 300 people just, happy birthday, with the least genuine and the least, warmest regards. Probably the least warm sentiment I've ever heard is warmest regards.
Well, the very cold regards are coming from me, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but it would. Warmest regards, that word says, I'm going to be as cold as shit. So anyway, I was just thinking, how do I cut through that crap? It cannot be done. So what I did was, I assembled a database of all of the clients and 5,000 real estate agents on my Facebook pretty much. So I got a overseas worker to affordably pull all of those and do the research to tell me when their birthday is, but give me a database so that a couple of weeks ahead of time I get reminded. And in fact, what I do is the month before, I had custom birthday cards printed up. So instead of kind of send out cards and doing it through that, I had them printed en masse. And then what I did was now this is me giving it away. And I tell you, for you guys watching, you're over in the States there, you're not allowed. Now, I hope none of my Aussies are watching, because this is now going to spoil my sentiment, right? So I grabbed this exact pen. right? It's a calligraphy pen, and sometimes it's the magic is in the little minutia, in the little details. So it's a calligraphy pen with a kind of an end on it that does that, right? It does that to the font. So it looks good, and it definitely is a nice kind of look. But what I did was I wrote. Get one.
Well, Glenn, that's the exact same thing that you did with the books that you signed for me and Matt when we were down there, and Brian. I mean, you probably did the same thing, did you not? You used the calligraphy pen?
Oh, yeah, no, I use the calligraphy pen. The only reason the magic's in the calligraphy pen is I'm using the pen to write, right? But this is an original. This came from the print shop, right? Meaning I did not write that. I wrote that once, and I printed that on there. And it says, hey, and then there's a blank space left for me to write Douglas.
That's freaking awesome.
And then we listen to the script, that this could be said to anyone who is my Facebook friend, who is connected to me on Facebook, but some of those 5,000 I don't know, right? Or I don't know well. I might barely know their name. So in the case of Douglas here, and now you can't tell that I didn't write that. Scribble, just like I wrote in your books. So all I've got to do is write the word Douglas there, and then Douglas is going to get a message that he does not know I did not personally write. And there is no one who could recognize that I didn't write this, because I printed it in the same pen that I wrote Douglas. I printed it in the same handwriting. It is my handwriting, because I scribbled that out and sent it to the printer. And this is what it reads. Hey, Doug, hope you've had another awesome year. Happy birthday. You've been putting up with another year of, inverted commas, noisiness from me on Facebook. So here's your prezi. See you soon, Glenn, in brackets, and Naomi. Very informally written, very informal language. And really the only thing it kind of says, acknowledging what's been going on, is really, because last year I sent one that said, hey, Mark, Douglas, whomever, hey, I know we haven't had a chance to catch up face-to-face as much as I'd like this year. Now, what that means is if I don't know them, that means I haven't caught up with them face-to-face. I haven't been in their office. So, hey, we haven't caught up face-to-face this year a whole lot as much as I'd like, and I make that ambiguous in case we've seen each other at one or two events. Right. Hey, as much as I'd like, but what you have done is you've been putting up with a whole lot of noise from me on Facebook. So you've earned this present, blah, blah, blah. So every year they get they get a card from me. They get a gift from me. Last year I sent males a set of nice cufflinks, like Iron Man or Superman or Batman, or just some cool novelty cufflinks, value of about $30 or so. And the ladies got a phone charger, for when you're out and about. And this year they got a copy of my book, or they are starting to get a copy of my book, Punching Above Your Weight. So they get a card that looks like I sent it to them. And thinking about the amount of time I invested in that process, and this is where Douglas gets mad at me. This is where everyone who gets the generic thing gets mad at me. This is why I'm glad it's 4 a.m. here in Australia, because none of my Aussies are up. I just hope they don't see the replay. Because what I've just done is I've revealed that, and this is the unfortunate thing, my actual relationship with them goes down by me revealing that to them. Their respect for me as a marketer goes up because they know that they felt, oh, Glenn, thank you, man. They actually felt some emotion. So I've hurt my emotional relationship with them by sharing this with you on the podcast. That's the price I'm paying there. But their respect for me as a marketer went up because they go, holy shit, he made me actually think he cared about me. All right. I don't like him as much now, but I'll learn from him. So I'm okay to make the trade-off.
Terrible.
But I only like 2 seconds of time on Doug by just writing the word Douglas, and then it goes to my team. Then my team package up the gift, send it, and all of that sort of thing. Now, here's the thing where maybe my other friends might still like me. If I know them, I will scribble out. I have blank ones where I will scribble out the entire. No, I don't have a blank card here. So I have two piles of cards. One for people I don't know, one for people I do. And if I do know them, I'll say, hey, Matt, man, it was great seeing you the other week. And I'll hypothesize what we've done since. I'll in my head think, what have we done or whatever. Say, hey, Matt, it's you. Hey, Matt, man, thanks so much for flying freaking literally 14 hours each way to come and share with our Australian audiences how awesome you are, blah, blah, blah. So I would acknowledge what we actually have done. And that might take me 30 seconds rather than 2. But either way, for people I know or people I don't know, I've cut through their mess on Facebook because all their other friends are warmest regards, hope you have a great birthday, with a little thing, one of hundreds on their timeline. And who's the one that sent them something physical in the mail with a little gift? I'm the one that literally made their day in many cases, they tell me.
Yeah.
Took 2 seconds of time.
You know, the funny thing about send out cards and stuff like that is that Gail has sent me a couple of cards I always show you guys, but she sent me this little thing. It's a little key that says dreams on it. And so I have a key to dreams, and then this little directional thing, north, south, east, west, so you know which way you're going. And I carry these things in my pocket. I'm legitimately thinking about getting like a little chain so I can just hang this as a necklace. So I can just be like, my key to dreams, my key to dreams. But I'm sending this to people. When I talk to them about listing their homes, I send this to them. Hey, can't wait to meet you. Like I had a lead follow up with me since 2014. Reached out to me yesterday, wants to do a CMA. This guy's $2.5 million home easily, right? So I don't know if he's gonna think I'm a weirdo for sending him the key to dreams, but it's something that will stand out from everybody else. It's just a crazy small little things. It's just being different. Not being, as Glenn, as you would say, which I freaking love, I got from you and Naomi up on stage, marketing is incestuous. It all looks the same over time. And I'm like, that paints such a nasty picture in my mind. But
and after a few generations, that's why, and I stole that. I didn't come up with that. That was from the great, your countryman, Dan Kennedy. What he says was, after we incestuously copy off each other, looking at that, after a few generations of that marketing incest, we kind of all get a bit stupid.
But that's so true. And that's why I like the book Blue Fishing, Matt. Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. Inside joke.
Yes, Greg's been recommending some other book this whole time. But anyway, all right, guys, let's quickly move on to.
Hold on. In that book, he recommends how to be ugly marketers. How to stand out, kind of like when Glenn's not ugly and his marketing's not ugly, but it's different ugly. Like it's not the norm. It's not the, double-sided, 4-color, glossy thing that you send out that's pretty. It's the hyper-personal, something that's different. That's the ugly part about it. It's in the blue water. So go read that book, by the way, Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. And we're going to get him on the show. I'm going to reach out to him and get him on the show.
We need to. We absolutely should. Yeah, we should have done that months ago. All right, Glenn, let's talk a little bit about the takeaways from the $1 Million Agent Summit. And before we do, I want to qualify just real quick the Aussie market. So when we talk about someone being a $1 million agent, everyone on that stage that you brought in, Glenn, was somebody who's making $1 million in gross commission income to themselves. The team market, what does a team mean? Because there was an interesting post on Facebook yesterday where one of my good friends in the industry just asked, hey, who do you know that's selling more than 1,000 homes a year, right? And, of course, everybody's response was, well, they could name off a few names, but they're all team leaders, some of whom have 50 to 100 agents working. That doesn't exist in Australia. So what does exist?
Yeah, that's a good phenomenon because I noticed that whenever you guys talked about teams, with regards to you guys having an EXP team or some people having a team within an office, meaning it's not the broker per se. We call that the principal licensee. We have that where a principal licensee might have a team of agents, but all of those agents that work for that principal licensee are an entity in and of themselves. They are a listing and selling entity with which they get a commission split to one degree or another. And there are various and sundry remuneration methods within that. But these mega teams that you guys describe, where there is a listing and selling entity, and then within that team there are 50 agents, that doesn't happen at all. The biggest team that we might see as an entity within an office would be someone like, the biggest one I know of would be Matt Steinwade, who you guys met, and Matt has agreed to be on Real Estate Uncensored, which is a real coup for you guys. And I think, that's good for you guys to get him because he doesn't do that sort of thing. He kind of often keeps his, cards, not cards to himself, but he doesn't play a lot with others, And so I was honoured, of course, that I'm mates with him. That's him right there on the stage there, and Matt's going to be on your show. Who's that's great for him, and that's great I think that's great for him because his message should be heard by the world, through your guys' platform. So the world's lucky, Matt's lucky, everyone's lucky. It's going to be great. Matt's team is one of the biggest I know in the country. Now, that team, the Matt Steinwade entity, does $5 million in gross commission, and that's done by Matt and another agent, so to speak. So when you say there are teams with multiple agents, there are two entities that the Matt Steinway team brings in all the marketing and brings in all of the leads, all of the seller inquiries, all of the people who would like to sell their home. There are either Matt or one of his team members that list those homes. So there are two listing units within that. That is Matt himself and one other. Then there are, three or so administerial people that as those listings come in, they get the photos taken, they get the listings up. So there's a machine administerially. There's a machine that there's two or so buyers kind of runners that just show the properties a little bit, but they are still assistants that really that's all they do. Then when the negotiation happens, either the buyer runner or Matt might step in or whatever. And then there might be a film guy who films and documents and does professional photography and all of that. So that constitutes maybe at any given time, Matt has hovered between 7 and I believe 9, including Matt himself, is the team. But that is certainly one of the larger exceptions to the rule. A typical team of a good $1 million performer will be really 3, the agent themselves, an ministerial PA who, to use an avatar, it might be like Donna off Suits, right? So like an admin legend who knows more about what that lead agent is doing than the lead agent. The lead agent is more an actor saying lines, being fed lines, and that PA, that administration person, is that director. And the agent is the actor. And then maybe a buyer's assistant, sales assistant, buyer runner, so that if there's just one individual buyer that needs to be run on a Wednesday, that buyer runner will do it. But at the open home, when there's going to be 7, 8, 10 people through that home on the Saturday, in the half an hour, Matt, not the 3 hours, then that happens, and that's done by the lead agent, and maybe the buyer runner might be there assisting to give overwhelmingly good service, overwhelmingly good rapport, etc. So yeah, to answer your question, teams, as you guys describe them, are unfamiliar. There are offices with principal licensees, what you guys call brokers, and then a team of listing and selling agents, all of which that are individual agents in and of themselves. And the biggest those individual agents typically get, as far as team is concerned, is a personal assistant and maybe some sort of sales assistant.
Why is it set up
which
like
is crazy
that?
and awesome.
I mean, why is it set up like that? Why don't you have the mega teams? I mean, is there a reason? Is
Same
it
reason you maniacs have 3-hour open homes. Probably no reason. It's just the way that the world ended up mutating. It's just the way the world ended up mutating in that. There's the old story that that the 35-year-old beautiful wife here in 2018 says, you know what you do with the roast to make a beautiful roast? You cut off the ends of the lamb or whatever the roast might be, the beef or the pig or whatever. You cut off the end of the roast because it makes it better. It just makes it better. And why you do? Oh, because Mum. That's how Mum taught me. It makes it better. And you ask Mum, why do you cut off the ends of the roast? Because that's just the way you do it. You cut off the ends of the roast because it makes it better. It goes back 3 generations, and that's because Nana's oven needed to cut off the ends of the roast to fit in the thing. But it's just been passed down as the way to do it. So, it's possibly just that. There is no reason why what you guys do won't work here. Similarly, there's no reason why some of the things that we do just the way it's done won't work over there, which is what we're seeing with some of you guys as well. What I might suggest, Greg, is I wonder if it's that it's only been in the last couple of years. And, we've had 100 years of real estate history plus, I'm sure, working in its current format. I've seen some real estate advertising from the 50s and, take out the fact that it's chalkboard and some stuff written on a shop front window and change the fact that it's a nice window display that looks pretty. And we haven't mutated much since 1950 in the real estate industry. There's still offices and properties in windows and whatever, So up until recently, though, because recently we have seen these models where an agent where the split isn't 50-50. See, up until recently, it was 40 or 50% that the agent got and 50 or 60% that the broker got. When a commission came in, a $10,000, $20,000 check comes in the office, the agent would get half and the broker would get half. That's historically how it's been.
Goodness.
That's still how it is a lot.
Really?
A lot. Whereas now we're seeing these models like EXP, like, all these other, Remax have a deal, Keller Williams have a deal where Keller Williams aren't here, but Remax are, where agents get less, I suppose, from the broker. Sometimes not a lot less, but they get kind of less from the broker or the brokerage, but they get 90% of the commission or 70% of the commission or whatever. They get a higher split. Given that that's a relatively recent phenomena, Greg, to answer your question, I would say the reason why probably is you need that 70, 80, 90% to have an agent in your team that you can remunerate at maybe 40 or 50% to leave that profit for you to bother being the team leader. If you're at 40%, there's not enough left to have a team. That other dude has to work for the broker their own 40% or 50%. So it might be just the recency of that higher commission split phenomena that now will facilitate those sorts of mega teams.
Yeah, well, and the dirty little secret, Glenn, of the teams here in the States, I would say, is that a lot of them, if not most of them, and I maybe I'll get some pushback on this, and it's possible I don't quite have, maybe my numbers are a little bit off, but I would venture to say most teams, especially the ones that have scaled up in the last 10 years, have scaled up by adding buyer's agents and scaling up their online buyer lead generation, which for you guys in Australia, like that, there are no buyer's agents. There aren't dedicated buyer's agents for that side of the transaction. So that probably goes a long way towards explaining it too, in terms of why
when I say that,
mega teams
the buyer's agents. The buyer's agents in Australia will be screaming at me and say, "Bullshit! What about us?" They are here, but it is not. But it is not the norm of the way real estate is everyday transacted. Meaning, agents list properties and represent the sellers, and then we advertise direct to consumers. Consumers come to open homes without representation, and they negotiate on their behalf with the agent. Sometimes, what's an interesting phenomena down here is, the agent is facilitating the deal. And in fact, most of the time it's a reality. In fact, I would say at least half the time, that agent should be representing the best interests of the seller. Period. End of story. But a lot of times what the agent is doing is just facilitating a deal and working on the weakness of either party, whoever that happens to be. They're being remunerated by a seller with a fiduciary obligation to work in the best interests of the seller. And yet, if the seller needs to sell more than the buyer needs to buy, they're working that seller down to get them to accept a lower price, etc. So, but what should happen here in Australia is the buyer should be coming, negotiating against an agent, where the agent is friendly and courteous and nice and respectful and all of that, but in no way are they negotiating on behalf of that buyer. They need to be closing that buyer on the highest price possible, period, in order to get that seller the most money. And the buyers don't have a negotiation representative on their half of the equation. They are just doing it themselves. And so, but because they are they think the real estate agent is there to it's an interesting phenomenon. Some people do think that real estate agent, they don't know that real estate agent should be seen by the buyers as the negotiating enemy, And but there is only one agent normally in a transaction, normally looking after the seller, and buyers coming direct to that agent to buy the home direct. There are buyer's agents, but just that isn't the norm. And I've coached a couple, and because it's not the norm, you've got to be a better marketer to generate those leads and then justify why you are worth your 2 or 3% or whatever the case may be from the buyer to pay that commission for you to go forth and find them a property. It is a much smaller percentage because a lot of buyers do. I don't know why it's not the case in the States. It's an interesting phenomena. Many buyers here do credit themselves with probably more negotiation skills than they probably have. And so they don't see the value in 2%. 2% of a $400,000 home is $40,000. No, is that $40,000? What's 2%
so.
of $40,000 home? No, it's not. No. It can't be. 20.
No.
Is it?
Four grand. 4 grand. Yeah. Oh, but no. You said 2%, right? It's 8 grand.
Yeah.
Good Lord, guys.
8 grand.
8 grand.
Yeah.
8 grand on a $400,000
Just goes to show
sale.
you do not have to be a mathematician to be a good marketing coach.
That's right.
So they think
We all three sat here dumbfounded trying to figure out.
Oh, no, I just shut up. I knew I was not going to get that answer right. I'm like, nope. Making like a hole in water.
Yeah, but that makes sense. So they're
so-
having to get their buyer clients to pay the commission, whereas here it's built in, like it's essentially free to the buyer because it's coming out of the seller agent's commission. So that makes sense. Well, let's get into some of the takeaways and stuff that you. I mean, Glenn, obviously you know these guys really well, but were there some of the things that Matt Steinway talked about, thing that's really caught your ear this time around?
Yeah, I mean, there was a million things, and I'm always on the lookout for when these guys have things in common. You know, the way that they're different doesn't help us. You know, the fact that Matt Steinway is a surfer and surfs every morning, and Chris Gilmore is a Formula 3 race car champion here in Australia, that doesn't help us. You know, the secret isn't in the Formula 3 or the surfing or the whatever, you know. But how they are the same is remarkably instructional, especially if what they do that's in common is different to what the average real estate agent does typically. So here's the one that I've been pondering lately. And it's because we hear a lot about, I get a lot of criticism because, you know, I was up at 3:30 a.m. this morning to be on this podcast, and that's not just because I'm on this podcast. I'm up at this time most times anyway. And I was still up at 11:15 last night. So I go hard. You know, it's that simple. I go hard. And I cop criticism for it. Many of my guys do too. One of my guys, Michael Spillane, $1 million performer, industry icon down here. He cops very vocal criticism for his work ethic, right? Work ethic is criticized, not for the lack of it, saying you're a lazy ass. No. Hustling and going hard. They'll sometimes it'll be passive aggressive, saying, "Oh, Glenn, you got to stop that. You're going to burn out." You know, "Oh, Glenn," you know, and they under the guise of love or care tell us we've got to slow down for our own good, right?
Why?
Probably because seeing us go so hard makes them feel uncomfortable by comparison. You know, I literally imagine. Lucky I'm not very good at what I do, because if I was really good at what I do and with this insane work ethic, I would hate to be a competitor of mine. You know what I mean?
You already do hate to be a competitor of yours.
But maybe.
Place.
But imagine if I was any good. Like, imagine if you coupled skill. Like, I just barrel them with sheer insanity that I'll just do triple the work that any one of them will do and I'll win. Imagine if I was triple as effective plus triple the work. Game over. So, but what I'm saying is about a real estate agent, you know, that whether they are a Matt Steinway or a couple of these legends, I don't know if Matt's one of them. In fact, no, he's not, but he has been in the past. There are a few legends that regret the years where they went like I do, like 5 a.m. in the office, 11 p.m. in the office, and they look back on those years with regret and wish they hadn't have gone so hard. There are some that look back on those years proud and maybe still do them, right? Mm-hmm. Whether they regret them or whether they embrace them or whether they still do it, everyone at the top of the mountain looks back and had it. What I'm saying there is, and I'm wondering in my head, if they regret it, for example, my wondering, my pondering, my debate in my head is, I've never yet seen anyone at the top of the mountain, regret it or don't, that didn't have it. So what that means is if they didn't have the thing that they now regret, they wouldn't be at the top of the mountain to regret it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So every one of them without fail, regret it, don't regret it, still do it, whatever, had a couple of years where they went by most normal humans' definitions. They went Burko. They went above and beyond with the superhuman. It's like, you know, the gold medalists at the Olympics. It's just this simple. You're going to be up at 4 a.m. doing the laps, whether you like it or not, for a run of 4 years when you're training for that gold medal. It is just that simple. There is no Olympian that had work-life balance in the 2 years leading up to that ceremony. It does not happen. So similarly, I've noticed that in common with all of them, and yet there's a lot of people out here spouting. Now, many of those people that are spouting it aren't at the top of the mountain, never got there, and are spouting work-life balance from their position of, we could call it, I don't want to use the word mediocrity because that has negative connotations to it. It's their choice to not be at the top of their game, to not be a gold medalist, but to be a good, strong club champion, to use that metaphor. They may not be Usain Bolt, best in the world, but they're a good, strong local club champion. They're doing good, right? And they're spouting that work-life balance is their way to be a good, strong local club champion. That might be a $200,000 a year income. That's pretty freaking good. If you've got a balanced life and $200K, $4,000 a week, you get, hey, if that's what you want, that is celebrate worthy. But what I'm saying is to criticize others is I think, a little much. Whether you're at the top of the mountain regretting it, telling others you shouldn't have done it, when my argument is you wouldn't be there to be looked up to if you didn't do it, sir. So how dare you make an assumption based on what someone else wants. If one of them gave me that advice, I'd say, well, screw you. I'm getting up at 3 a.m. because I've got you to catch, dude. I am going to catch you if I sleep in till 7 a.m. like you do, because you've already got the runs on the board. Only thing I've got is the 5 a.m. while you have your pretty little work-life balance. I got dollar productivity from 5 a.m. till 8 a.m. while you sleep. That's all I got. That's how I'll get you. So, so that's the biggest commonality.
It creates an attractive force, I think, too. That level, whether it's your work ethic, whether it's in marketing, I think it's the amount and the quality of the content that you put out. Just it creates this kind of a flywheel at the center of your world that pulls people in. It pulls opportunities in. It pulls prospects in. And I'm still kind of like that. That's one of the things I think we see too. Is just building that kind of flywheel in your life and what that consists of. Whether it's the content that you put out, the work ethic that you bring to it, and I'm sure there's some other elements involved, but. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some bursts of all-out effort. Otherwise, the goals that we're setting aren't really all that difficult to achieve. And I'm pretty, I'm not really a shoot for the stars, hit the moon kind of person. Like I'm way more in favor of realistic goal setting when it comes to goals. Now, it's one thing to have dreams, like by all means, dream big, but set goals that you're 100% committed to. But there is something about that, building that flywheel, just that being in constant motion to the extent that you can do it. It creates opportunities that other guys don't have access to. And when we look at guys that are uber successful, especially guys like the Altmans, where they have this unique opportunity that gets put in front of them, like that opportunity doesn't just come to everybody. Part of the reason that they got that opportunity to be on $1 Million listing is they positioned themselves for doors like that open in their lives. And so when guys like that look back on it, how can you possibly look back and go, I wish I hadn't worked that hard? It was the work that brought those unique opportunities that, maybe now the TV show makes things easier on them and they're closing 600 million in volume a year, but they put themselves in position for those unique opportunities by the work they did 10, 15 years ago. So anyway, that's kind of what I've been thinking about.
I mean, that's the thing. You've got the junior grandmaster here, and by the way, Greg, I loved seeing the grandmaster on the video the other day. By the way,
we actually got him. He's going to do a grandmaster class with us, and he's going to be a regular on the show. I would love to see you two come together on a show, Glenn and the Grandmaster on one show.
Dude. Oh man,
my
I would be
God.
honored. I'd just sit there in reverence. But Greg, part of the reason that we connect so well is I saw in you, man, there's a kindred spirit there. You're as crazy as frickin' I am with work ethic. I've never seen anyone with the output you've got. The fact that you give so much to this podcasts, because you've got a bunch of different ways that you're giving to us as a real estate community, your calls, your sessions, your motivation, all of that stuff, your prospecting podcast, the Real Estate Uncensored, and then you're a freaking beast performer out there selling all the real estate as well. I've never seen anything like it. What's your take on the phenomena that me and Matt have just talked about?
I categorically disagree with Johnson, but that's a standard operating procedure on this, on the way to set goals.
On the goal setting.
And, it's something that worked for me. What it works for me is to set astronomically high goals and enjoy the process on the journey getting to them, because it's like Matthew McConaughey said in that epic speech. My best me is always going to be ahead of me. My next goal will always be ahead of me. I'll never reach that goal, but I'll be better where I am now than where I was. And it tickles my taint just to think about the opportunities that I have out there to get to my 25,000 people on my team, which I know I will do. I don't know how I'll do it, but I know that when you set your mind to a problem, your mind will deliver an answer. And, it could be a variety pack of different ways to get there. But I don't know how I'm going to get there. I have an idea how I'm going to get there, but it probably won't end up being there. But achieving that, I know that 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 I know I will get that goal. And now it's just a fun ride of enjoying the step-by-step process and not being caught up in the minutia of life. If I don't get my 25,000 people this year, what am I going to go cry my milk? No, I'm going to keep steady, keep working hard. But like Glenn, like you, the reason why I push hard is because I have a set time window to achieve goals. And I have got to crush it because, like you said, there's someone behind me that's going to be pushing just as hard, if not harder, if I don't stick the pedal to the metal and stay true to what I have told myself I'm going to achieve. That person or persons will surpass me, and then I will sit there and be like, well, gosh darn it, I wish I had a better work-life balance. Well, fuck you, work-life balance, and hello, goals. I'm going to achieve my goals. And like Glenn, when you said it was 4 o'clock, I quickly Googled, what time is it in Brisbane? And it was 4:17. I'm like, oh, shit, Glenn's no joke. But, I was working with a coaching client today, and he was talking about how he's getting up at 7 o'clock, 7:30. I'm like, what are you doing getting up at 7:30?
Surely he's not bragging about that. Greg, I'm up at 7, mate. Come on.
Well, he does have a brand new baby. But I still gave him a rash of shit going, dude, the most successful people are up. Glenn's time, 3:30 in the morning. That's when successful people are up. You're either going to bed or you're getting up. One of the two. And so if you guys aren't where you want to be right now, then obviously it's not a big enough why. It's not your pants are not on fire. Yeah, you're not moving.
They don't want to succeed as much as they want to sleep.
No. Let's use the right line. You don't want to be successful as much as you want that next breath. Eric Thomas talks about that. That story.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. So you dig that story up, guys. ET's thing, yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. They want their balance more than they want their comfort more than they want their win. And that's okay. We're not here to judge, but we're here to say one thing that gets me is when they whinge about their lack of success and they criticize others and they say, oh, but yeah, the Altmans have got it good or whatever, whoever it might be. When there's whining about their lack of success, coupled with their desire for balance and all of that, that's when I have a problem. Hey, like I said before, if there's, one of my students is a single mum, doing $220,000 in gross comm at a 60-40 split, that means she's taking home 120, few expenses, she is taking home $90,000 to $100,000, and that is celebrate worthy. Because that's what she wants in order to do what she wants. And $100,000 a year, that still puts her in one of the top income earners in the country. Average earning down here is between $50,000 and $70,000 maybe.
Oh, wow.
Minimum wage might be 40 to 70, or whatever for, workers in offices around the country. So that's good. The thing that gets me is whinging about lack of success, knowing how to do it precisely, being told how to do it by people like me and other coaches or whatever. Not wanting to do it and saying you're right. Oh, I've got to have my balance. Yeah. I think even Jim Rohn said it once. He said that he was giving some ladies a lesson, saying, "Ladies, you tell your man, go out and take." I can't do a Jim Rohn impersonation, but go out and take over the world, but be home at 5 o'clock. Not gonna happen.
That was actually pretty good. That drag at the very end.
I do love how Jim is just, he puts me to sleep. He's got that velvety tone. He goes, should you want to do it? Of course. Start cooking. Girl Scout knocks on my door, asks me politely to buy. I wanted to buy, no problem. Girl Scout cookies. Didn't have $2 in my pocket. Yeah, I love Jim.
Jim is awesome. I mean, so here's the thing I want to tackle here, because good Lord, this hour is almost over. Glenn,
I can't believe we've done no marketing. Damn it!
I know. So let's do this. Let's hit hard for the last few minutes. Let's bullet point some of your bigger things.
Have we gotten rid of the whole thing? Just talking about work hard. Has everyone left? Because I'm not on Facebook.
No, everyone's coming in. Everyone's coming in. That's the crazy part. People want to hear this stuff because sometimes getting kicked right in the taint is what you need. And just going, ooh, that stung a little bit. I got to go do something.
If they've made it through this, Greg, we can load this up with content for only the players. If they've sitting there and caught their kick in the ass, they've earned it. They've earned a masterclass.
All right, drop it, man. Knowledge bombs by Glenn. Hashtag Real Estate Uncensored. Okay. Matt has a
Matt,
really
what do you want
to?
You're out. We got to take direction from Matt. Matt, what would you like?
Puckered.
Bro?
Why you look puckered?
His internet.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I guess that there's not there. We've talked about work ethic and motivation, which is awesome. But what about what are some of the other things that you've noticed that your main guys at that summit have in common?
Okay, let me go with a principle. Because we kind of haven't gone deep on minutiae here, so let's stick with principle-based things. Let me just go with this.
Mm-hmm.
What am I looking here? How do you do? Oh, this is all new again. Damn it. Okay.
Well, Glenn, while you're looking for this stuff, are people going to have an opportunity to buy a replay of this by any chance, or of what was down under at the event, or is that just if you show up, you get it, and if not, oh wait, there it is right there.
Damn,
never mind.
I'm just getting rid of that. No, I'm just getting rid of that because that was the wrong thing. That was the wrong thing. I got a thing with Brian a bit later today. There you go. Okay,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, so Brian Casella, who you guys introduced me to, who I love, is coming down, and he's doing a little podcast later with me today. Yeah, I mean, we do have the replay, but it's not available yet. So if people connect with me on Facebook, I'm sure they will see when it's released the recordings of that, because we did grab it. I'm not going to have legends like Greg McDaniel come down to Australia. And so on stage there was Matt, there was Greg, there was Brian. We recorded the whole 2 days, and I'm not going to bring you guys all that way down without documenting it, so definitely. But let me go with one of the things they have in common, one of the principles. I call these big rocks. And it's the power of the future bank. And so what that principle kind of means is all the money that you guys, that your viewers here are going to earn. Like Chris Gilmore did $1.83 million this year, and he was literally a part-timer this year. Like he had his balance. He went hard. He didn't earn $1.83 million this year. He earned it 4 years ago when he was being a beast. He just banked it this year, right? So the way we want to see it, when we meet these humans at our open houses, and you guys stay in touch with the Real Estate Uncensored crew when we do our open house masterclass that shows you how to do, we don't want to blow their minds. So it shows you how to do, heaven forbid,
stick with four.
Yeah, four open homes
with the lazy man Saturday in Australia.
And people are always going, 4? You can't do 4. How do you fit 4 in? There's only 12 hours in the day, Glenn. 4.
Oh my God! I remember walking up. I got to tell this part. I walked up right when Glenn introduced me to one of the speakers, and he just very casually turns to the other agent. Who was that? Was that
Was it Jared Carmen? I think
it was Jared.
To tell the Jared Carmen
it was Jared, and Glenn turns to him and goes, "So Jared, how many open houses did you guys do last weekend?" Or typically, he's like 17. I'm like, in one day? And Glenn is going to show you how to do that. And trust me, my head blew up. It was awesome. Anyways, back to you, Glenn.
So when you meet one of those people at the 4 open homes that you do this Saturday, and each of those open homes has 10 buyers there, or 6 buyers, so you've got now 20-odd people to follow up. Most people follow up those buyers as if they are now bank. And if they don't buy that house, thus giving them now money, they treat them like, they ignore them. They certainly don't put them into any sort of follow-up system, and they just don't do a good damn job. Whereas when we did the study of actually people who got their home appraised. So agents treat their appraisals, like second-class citizens if they don't list now. And when we studied it across Australia, the average time between appraisal and going to the market was 11 months. So if you don't have an 11-month follow-up campaign systemized, if you're just relying on your head to remember to phone those people back, what will happen is you will appraise it now. 6 months later, you will be pissed when your competitor's sign goes up and they go, shit, my client listed with someone else. I've heard that quote. My client listed with my competition. I mean, think about the entitlement that they are. Someone maybe should have told the client whose they were, because clearly, the way I look at it, it's that dude's client, not your client, that dude's, right? So that we need to treat every one of those guests at our open not like a person that has a 1 in 50 chance of being the one who buys this house. So, yeah, have a look around, and I'm here if you've got any questions, and that's it. We get the details, and we treat them like they are $10,000 or whatever your average commission is. Say your average commission is $10,000 and you get 50% of that, $5,000, just to use round numbers. How would you treat someone if you knew they had $5,000 of yours and you loaned it to them and then they walked out of that house? However you would treat that friend who you loaned $5,000 to, touching in every now and then, saying, hey, man, it's no rush, but remember, make sure you give me that $5 when you can, right? Now, that's how you need to follow up with these folks at your open homes, like an animal. And yet, here's the statistic that I did. And this ain't some statistic that I got out of some researcher. This is Glenn Twiddle, Glenn Twiddle's PA, Glenn Twiddle's partner, and 2 paid-for secret shop 35 to 45-year-old females. So I never went into the open homes because even 5-10 years ago, it was actually 2010 we started this study. And over the last 8 years, we've duplicated the study a few times to make sure the numbers are still right. And they are. They're still about the same. But the first study we did 150 secret shops of real estate agents' open houses, open for inspections, where they meet all the people. Okay. The script that our ladies said when they went in was, yeah, we just own a house down the road and we're sort of checking out what properties are worth, checking out prices and that. We're not buying this one. We're just sort of having a look. That is flagging to that real estate agent, psst, I'm a seller, right? That is flagging that. The next step would be, I'm a seller, dude, and if you do the right job, I'm going to give you $10,000 to sell my house in a couple of months. Right? Mm-hmm. That would be the only way to be more blunt with those agents. Right. But we didn't. We took a step back, said, look, we own a place down the road, we're just having a bit of a look, checking out prices. Out of 150 people that we went through their agents' open homes, 150, basically flagging them that we are a $10,000 commission check at some stage in the next year, right? In some stage. Well, you guys guess. I don't know if I've ever told you this stat, but if you guys, if I haven't, no, cool. So how many would you say, guys? Have a guess down below if you're on the Facebook Live, because I know people might be listening to this on the podcast. So if you're on the Stitcher or iTunes, bad luck, you miss out. But on the Facebook Live, how many out of 150, where we're flagging that we're a seller, should have gotten a cool little piece of follow-up? But let's start with Greg. What's your guess? What number?
I'm very saddened to say, but I'm going to say probably 5 to 10 agents. Some ridiculously low number because people are in the mindset of just with that house. And I mean, I got so excited hearing about that because as soon as you said that, yeah, we're going to property right around the corner, I went right into my sales script mode. Really? How long have you been here? Tell me about the neighborhood. Where are you guys thinking about making a move to? Are you going to stay in the area? Are you going to upsize? Are you going to downsize? What's most important to you? Is it speed of sale or is it the price? Is it the price? Can I stay up with you?
Yeah, that's right. When am I coming around to sleep over until you make your decision? But Matt, what would be your guess on the number? Realistically, as a non-agent, you're a marketing guru. What would you say you would expect it to be? Because Greg, the very nature of the enthusiasm with which I'm asked the question has influenced Greg answers. Because no one would ever credit 5 to 10, right? No one would ever.
Out of 150, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing a couple, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So look, well, you know what? I'm glad that the industry is going to impress you with how good it is.
Oh, thank God.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
So,
good.
So 49 out of 150 followed up. right?
Oh, good.
Followed up, period.
But how
what
many
that
times?
means is
Wow.
2/3 of the industry made 0 follow attempts, even to say, hey, that house you came through the other day, do you want to buy it? Right? So 2/3 of the industry did nothing. 49 out of 150 just followed up to say, hey, what do you think? Do you want to buy that house or whatever? They made a follow-up attempt.
Right. Right.
And so it's a damning statistic no matter what. And so the big principle, the big takeaway, without going into the minutiae of what to follow up, here would be the takeaway, we've built this up for an hour saying work hard, do lots of opens, meet lots of people, be a beast. Most people suck. All the money's in the future bank. We've given them all this stuff. So here's your takeaway of what you can do this weekend. Follow up all your open homes like they're a $5,000 loan that owes you $5,000 or whatever your average commission is. Follow them up with a multimedia, multi-step campaign that might be, I'll go back to that, the slideshow.
And Paul Franklin is actually not bad. Paul Franklin said 10%. Otis said 20 people would show up. So you guys are closer than me and Matt.
Yeah. Okay. So there's our kind of the thing I look. And if you could, now for the guys who's watching this audio, it's just a big graphic with contact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm saying is the follow up there might be a phone call. Contact 1 might be a phone call the day after they see them, or even the same day. Contact 2 might be an SMS as they're on the way out of the open house, either automated or manual, saying, hey, thanks for coming and checking out the place there at Smith Street. Hey, if you want to buy it or if you want to make an offer or whatever, just give me a yell. And then contact 3 might be a week later saying an email saying, hey, did you buy anything? Here's a few properties that were similar to the one you came and saw at Smith Street. Then contact 4 might be a little report on, on buying for well or something, without kind of not representing your sellers, but how to buy a great property for a great price of your dreams or whatever. And we stay in touch for 20 times over the next year, mixing up the media between, say, SMS, email, direct mail, phone call, and heaven forbid if you've got their address, maybe popping around and knocking on the door saying, hey, look, sorry, I was in the neighborhood, wanted to drop you around this little gift or whatever. 15 to 20 contacts over the next year, mixing up the media, because by mixing up the media between SMS, letters, etc. See, if you follow up 20 times just with phone calls and you just say, hey, Greg, I know I called you 2 weeks ago and you weren't interested in doing anything with me, but how about now? Craziness. You got to mix up the media if you want to do 15 points of contact within a year, because really that's one every 3 to 4. That's one every 3 weeks. You need to be mixing up the media so they don't think you're a freak. And there's the takeaway, guys. Design it. If you have a CRM that automates it or semi-automates it, that's even better, because there are some cool systems that'll semi-automate or automate that procedure. But therein lies the procedure. Treat them all like the future bank and not like a frickin' prospect that needs to be closed now or ignored till the end of time.
You know what? I think that is one of the best things. I just signed up for a company called Agent Legend. The individual is $200 a month, and that's exactly what they're doing, Glenn, for me. I'm literally recording my messages now, and it's in my voice, in my tonality, my writing. But they mix up the follow-up on online leads, CRM database. They have all these different ways of automated follow-up so that nobody falls between the cracks. The people that have used it have just their responses are like, dude, I forgot I even turned it on, and people are just calling me up like, oh my god, I want to do this or I want to do that, and it's about mixing the data up. I mean, mixing up the medium, because nobody wants to eat granola for the rest of their life and never have a steak again. No, they need variety in their life. And then they need it in your prospecting as well. And Glenn, that was an awesome slide. I don't know if the people could see it. I know the people on audio couldn't see it. But I think it was the 4th contact. I think it was 89.9% of the agents stopped following up with lead 4 times. I mean, that's astonishingly bad. Cool. Let's bring it up again.
However accurate that statistic is, because, I've heard this statistic, that 72% of all statistics are made up, including that one. Right? So, no matter what, we know this is true. But what they're hypothesizing is that between contacts 1 and 4, 89.8% of salespeople in all industries have given up. But all the magic happens after contact 9. So That's why sales is such a hard gig, because very few salespeople make the sale on the first contact. And very few salespeople have a follow-up system that gets to the irresistible relationship of 12-odd contacts, is that they think like that agent we were talking about before. They contacted them once, they never followed up, and then 6 months later, some other agent happened to be Johnny on the spot when the client was ready, and they're sooky thinking that one contact would have done it. Here's the metaphor that I say when I'm teaching groups. I find the ladies in the audience. And I say, ma'am, are you married? And, I find a married lady. And I say, so you love hubby, yeah? And she goes, yeah. And then I'll say, now let me ask you this, ma'am. If hubby, when he was courting and seducing you, first date obviously went well because you ended up married, right? So, first date went horribly. Oh, okay, whatever. But it went well. Let's assume first date went magnificently. And then he ignores you for 6 months. No text, no email, no nothing. And then he arrives on a Friday night at your home, knocking on the door, unzipping his fly. How's his chances? And she says, hell no. And that really makes sense to people. They think we follow up like beasts in the seduction mode because they have something we want, right? And yet as soon as we get into the mode of business, we follow up like we think we're Brad Pitt. And that we can just roll up and say, now, I don't know, for those folks who can't see the audio, we know that I ain't no Brad Pitt, right? And yet you guys have seen Naomi. Holy shit. I am, the term of my book, punching above your weight, that serves me in, that partner of mine, Naomi, who is stunningly beautiful physically. She's just gorgeous, muscular, gym junkie, gorgeous blonde woman, smart as shit, runs my business, just a perfect woman. Believe me, that was never going to happen with me seducing her like Brad Pitt saying, hey, baby, and it being a one-night stand. Never. You wear them down, right?
Oh,
if this
okay.
was a mic, I would drop it.
You wear them down.
I would drop it.
That is the quote of the show. You wear them down.
Wear them down, baby.
So one of the things Matt Steinway actually put up, and I took photos of it. I don't know if it's you or Matt Steinway that posted this, but when you're doing follow-ups and everything, and I know we got to wrap the show up, when you're doing follow-ups with contacts and stuff, when you contact people 9 to 12 times, after the initial 9, we actually get to know them, at 9 to 12 contacts, you're becoming a friend. Between 18 and 24 contacts, you become a household name. And that is up to you guys to start building now those numbers up, because you can either be the friend that's forgettable at below 9, or from 9 to 12, and it's that Twiddle. Yes, Glenn. That's the real estate agent's name. Or on number 24, dude, we got to call Glenn Twiddle. That guy, he sends me cards like a beast. He'll market the snot out of our home. That's your difference, guys. So when you think that you're not talking to someone too much, between 9 is when you just get in the door. 9 to 12 is when you become a friend. 18 to 24, household name. So take that and put it in your pipe and smoke it.
Definitely. And I would just add to that, there's a whole lot more than just, we don't have time to talk about it now, but I love that you guys do this like a couple times a week. There's plenty of opportunities with your guys' educational stuff that you provide for free for them to figure out how to do this. But here's the principle that you got to do. Further study required for you to do it. You can't be just a real estate salesperson douche in your 24 contacts, because then you'll just cement the fact and confirm that you're an idiot, and they'll hate you even more. So you've got to be conversational in your communications, so that after 24 points of contact, they think, yeah, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's competent. He's friendly. He's kind of cool. He's imperfect, and I've got to read that. My version of that blue fishing or whatever the book Greg was getting wrong the whole time. My version's purple cow. You've got to be outrageous. You've got to stand out, and not be just a typical real estate wanker like douche. Most people are. Most people in the industry are typical. They put on this facade where they think they have to be a certain way in order to be a real estate agent, and it's the opposite of that.
Dude, so Glenn, one of my good buddies, Stefan Adika, knuckles to you, homeboy.
Love him.
He's an agent in Central Coast in Paso Robles. If you guys got a referral, send it over to Stefan Adika. Great guy, but he's an ex-rock and roll guy. Dude, he's covered in tattoos. Covered in them, right? He's got a big old one on his hand. It's an area code. And he was sweating like a whore in church when he went on his first listing appointment because he had a cover up on his hand, and it was coming off, and he was freaking out. Well, I summarily smacked him verbally when I heard about this. I'm like, you stop being a bitch, Adika. You step up. You own your rock and roll. You own your tattoos. This is you. Be authentic to you. And as soon as he was given permission to be authentic to him, dude, the guy is just taken off like grease lightning. He's on fire. He just got 2 new listings, and he doesn't cover up the tattoos. He doesn't stop being himself. He's authentically him. And that's what you guys need to do. You just need to hire Glenn to be your fucking coach. Let's be serious about this.
How can he not have in his listing presentation screen grabs or even an iPad video of him playing guitar with Eddie Van Halen?
I think he does.
I mean, seriously.
I think he does.
It's got to be his listing presentation. Hey, I don't know how to in the house, but check this shit out. Boom!
Yeah. I mean, his best friend is the drummer of Kiss. I mean, that does not get any cooler for the people that are in that era. Like, dude, yeah, my homeboy is the drummer for Kiss. What?
Yeah, he was on a Facebook Live doing some prospecting and stuff, and he says, "Oh, just wait a minute, real quick. I've just got. Oh, it might have been even at an open home or something. He's got Eric Singer and Gene Simmons honing into his Facebook Live then and there. Oh my God, you got to own that. You got to be you. You know. Do you think for one, solitary second that anyone who ever comes to my stuff for the rest of their life is going to not be having this rubbish shoved down their throat? And damn it, now my PowerPoint's decided to die. Anyway, the photos of, there you go, there was my book, right? They're going to be seeing that photo forever, right? Of Arnold and me screwing around at Gold's Gym. Of me in the offices of Gary Vaynerchuk, of Tim Ferriss, screwing around in the photo booth, of Stallone, of Richard Branson. Like, you need to just, whatever it is that's your attention-getting thing, whatever that happens to be, that's different, purple cow, got to do it, So, agreed, Reese Stephan. Agreed, Reese Stephan.
Yeah. No, this is the longest show we've ever done.
I'm in trouble.
My blood sugar is dangerously low.
I know, you've been really quiet. When you get quiet, I get nervous. Yeah. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. Glenn, how do people reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, I know. I keep saying I should do something. You know what? Next time I'm on, I'm going to give my same answer. A marketer isn't a marketer's arsehole if they need anything more than their name. So Google Glenn Twiddle, you'll find me. And if you need me, you'll work hard and you'll get me. Next time, Matt Johnson, I promise, I will have a better answer for them next time. I will have a free gift of some description for them. And I will do it the right way because I've been embarrassing lately by not having something to offer. That's another principle. You want to be offering something good, valuable for free in exchange for contact information. So there's my secret, guys. When I give you something free, it'll be valuable. It'll be something that I have sold for hundreds of dollars, and I'm going to gift it to you next time I'm on Real Estate Uncensored, and it will be free. But the payoff will be I'm going to follow you up like I just showed you with that thing until you buy something or die. So there you go.
And the good news is, everybody, Glenn's on Monday. So don't worry. That offer is here now. No, I'm kidding. He will be coming ultimately soon, though. So find Glenn. Matt, they need to find us. They need to go to bookmcdaniel.com. You guys need to go book 30 minutes with me for the EXP team, see if it's the right fit for you. There's a laundry list of value add beyond what EXP is doing that we're gonna give to you. But just go to bookmcdaniel.com, get the 30 minutes, get time with me, do it now, make it happen. Matt, you're up.
Yes. Well, as far as speaking of a free gift in exchange for contact information, go to rockstarlivevideo.com. That is a free training program on how to do exactly what Greg does on Facebook Live. So, Glenn, you mentioned just all the content that Greg puts out. And Greg, you're also using Facebook Live, list a property, go through an open house, interview the mayor, chief of police, whatever. So this course will teach you guys exactly how to do that. So that's at rockstarlivevideo.com. If you guys want more super high def audio and video training, you can go to erslivestream.com. That's $17 a month for 2 hours a week of super high quality real estate training that's put on by my buddy Jeff Cohn out of the office of the #1 selling team in Nebraska. They'll sell something like 800 homes this year. And so that is probably some of the best real estate training on the nuts and bolts of the business that I've ever seen. So go check that out. We talked about how to contact Glenn. So let's just talk about the show. Subscribe, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, all the places for all the things, audio, video, and if you want to share the show or if you want to just thank us for putting out the content, the best way to do that is leave us a rating and a review. We read every single one of those. We reach out and thank you for it. We really, really appreciate it when you rate and review the show. That's the best way that you can help us spread the good word.
Just like Matt, you normally have such an articulate way of the English language, and you just the show, all the places, all the things.
That's right.
I love it when classy individuals kind of just come back to normal like us idiots.
Yes.
Whatever. Oh, man. That's funny. I'm very tired.
And we have another show to do here in a little bit. Yeah, 4 a.m.
Soft.
All right, guys.
What is
Matt,
it?
what are we going to do?
Freaking soft.
We're going to put a bow on this episode, Greg. Quickly.
I just love Glenn. Freaking soft.
That's right.
All right, guys. Matt's putting a little pink bow on this bad boy, and I got to tell you, I love you. You guys are amazing human beings. Thank you for going for an hour and 15 minutes with us today. But we cannot contain the Twiddle. When he gets on a road, it's like a freight train with no brakes. You just get out of the way, and the knowledge bombs will just be falling off as he rolls down the tracks. We love having him on. If you guys like him, hook up with him, reach out to him, hire him as a coach. I don't say this, I don't make a dime off this. Matt makes all the money. I don't make any. Matt hoards all the money, and doesn't give me my stipend. But
just to clarify, we make no money off of recommending Glenn.
But seriously, go hire Glenn, hire his people. Yeah. It's a great coaching course, guys. So until next time, peace out, ninjas.